Valdez versus Stevenson has just been announced. Bravo. Bravo. We're getting good news. We're getting good news. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. Canelo's close to announcing a 2-fight deal with somebody. We got Serrano versus Taylor on the same night. 2 pound-for-pound talents there. We got Kambosos about to announce either Lomachenko or Haney. We're getting there. We're getting there. It's been a slow period in boxing. I often call out the negativity in boxing. I often call out the negative impact that a lot of fighters, promoters, managers make in boxing. But I also have to call out the good. And the more we call out the good, the more we praise fighters such as Valdez and Stevenson, collectively as a boxing public, the more we'll get Valdez versus Stevenson's. The more we'll get unification fights. The more we'll get fights that make sense. The more we'll get number 2 versus number 4, number 1 versus number 2, number 3 versus number 5. We need more top 5 type fights. We need more top 5 fighters fighting each other, as I often state, and we're getting it here. You know, I'm not a fan of the 4 belts. I'm not a fan of all of the titles out there, especially the JV belts. But in some instances, they can be used as a roadmap to getting these top 5 guys fighting each other. It's not often we get unification fights, so it's good when we get them. They use the roadmap here. We have the 2 top guys at 130 fighting each other. And it's a hell of a fight on paper. You had in 2021 these 2 guys behaving mostly like fighters. Like Stevenson didn't look good against Nakathila, but he bounced back. He took the criticism, used it in a positive manner, and destroyed Jamel Herring. Looked great doing it. And then you had Valdez, who, huge underdog against Burchell, knocked him out. Arguably the performance of 2021. Didn't look all that good defending the belt. But overall, both of these guys did behave like fighters in 2021, and they're bouncing back from that and continuing with that momentum. I mean, a hell of a thing happens when you fight consistently, and when you're fighting consistently against good opposition, you'll become a star. It's undeniable. Even if you have losses if you're talented and you're fighting consistently, staying in people's faces, and you're doing it against good opposition, if you're giving us meaningful fights, you're going to become a star. I don't care what complexion you are. None of that. Doesn't matter. And they're behaving that way, and this is a good fight. It's close to even odds. To me, Shakur Stevenson seems undervalued. After watching their last fights, after watching Stevenson fight Herring, the eye test has been off the charts with Stevenson, and that kind of validated it for me. And if he comes back from that and defeats Valdez and becomes unified champion at 130, this guy catapults into the top 10 pound for pound. That's what I always talk about. Like, we can go off of eye test and potential all day long, but until you realize that, you can't rank these guys high. So if Stevenson were to beat Valdez, that gets validated. Everything we've been seeing with Stevenson, the boxing ability, the lateral movement, the speed, the quickness, the high ring IQ, all of that is validated if he beats Valdez, and then you can put this guy in the top 10 pound for pound at that point, especially if he does it convincingly. Same thing could be said of Valdez here. When he beat Burchell, we were like, okay, he's possibly a top 10 pound for pound type of guy. Didn't look so good in his defense, but if he were to come back and beat Stevenson, he's top 10 pound for pound, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So a lot at stake here. That's what makes this fight important. Not only does it have implications in the division at 130 with multiple belts on the line, it also has pound for pound implications. That's what makes this important, is the fighter who wins this fight will be a top 10 pound for pound fighter. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I just tend to favor Stevenson here, man. I think it's almost undeniable that this guy's going to be a top pound for pound guy 3-4 years from now. Top 3 or 4 pound for pound guy, maybe even sooner than that. So we'll see. We'll see. But whoever wins this fight, man, they got the world by the balls.